Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it is an Encyclia tampensis day. It is early June. My Encyclia tampensis are in peak flower and yikes, is it warm. It is 88 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 31 degrees Celsius. With the heat index, it is 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 35 degrees Celsius. So it is it's a warm day. The tampensis, this is their peak flowering time. They love it. The rest of my orchids love it too. And luckily we got a little bit of a breeze today. But what I wanted to share with you is my tampensis plants and blooms. And it is peak bloom. All of the Encyclia tampensis that I want to share with you, I grew from seed. And so there were various seed lots that I have, and that's what I want to show you, the kind of the differences in the plants that I have and where they're from. All of them are from Progyny, from native plants that are grown in, that were found in this area. Usually they're rescued plants that were either in trees that were taken down because of construction or blown out of trees by the hurricane or for some other reason. But a lot of native Encyclia tampensis found locally, and that's pretty exciting when you see that. They are hard to see in the wild because they're up in the tree, and even though these flowers, they kind of look showy, and once you know what you're looking for, you can spot them, but they're a little subtle. They're small and they're a little difficult to see. Okay, so let me show you some of my tampensis. I have them growing under a variety of different conditions, as you might imagine. All of these tampensis, they're all, they grow in trees, so they're shade loving. But they can grow in different degrees of sunlight. I have some that are mounted on boards, in pots, on various other types of structures, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. The first few that I have to share with you are from the same seed lot, the same batch. And there's a real variability in the size and the shape of the plants, even though they're from the same seed capsule. And I should mention that the seed capsule that generated these was flasked. I don't have a deflasking date, but I have a flasking date. So I know that, for example, this plant right here, the seed I flasked in, I think it was around 5 years ago. A little over 5 years ago, I flasked the seed that gave rise to this plant. And this is from a plant, again, that was a rescue that was found in the city at a construction site. The parent that gave rise to this plant. I had a really nice seed capsule 5 years ago when I did this. But and this one, since I picked it up, this one I'll share with you. This is in a 4-inch plastic pot. Seems to be doing pretty well. It's not really growing over the edge of the pot yet. I would guess real quick there's probably about a dozen flower spikes on this. The spikes on this plant tend to, as you can tell, I think, they tend to kind of lay over a little bit. But the plant is really nice. The flowers are spread out, and it's not quite in full bloom. Maybe another week. Maybe 2 weeks, but probably another week they'll be in full bloom. These really weren't open very much a couple of weeks ago, and then because of the high temperature, there's just been an explosion. I should also say that the flowers on these things, because they're pollinated by some of the native insects that are around here, once these flowers get pollinated, they fade very quickly. And as I'm sitting here, as I was sitting here before, kind of getting things set up, there were small bees and flies all over this thing, and we're probably, depending on the resolution of the camera, we're probably going to see a little bit of that as we go through and take a look at all these. But this is just a really nice, a nice plant that's in a 4-inch square pot. I think, I'm not sure the potting mix that's in here, a variety of different things. It looks from the top of it, it looks like there is, that this is bark mostly in here. Okay, so some of the other ones that I wanted to share with you. Here's another flowering tampensis that's on a piece of bamboo. The ones that I mount tend to, and this is again from the same lot, but the tampensis plants that I mount tend not to do, they tend not to do as well. They tend not to grow as rapidly as the ones that I actually put in pots. So this is a fairly large plant on bamboo. The roots are fairly extensive. And this has, when I look at it, it has 5 flower spikes on it. You know, nice flowers, about the same size, color balance, everything else. But this is doing okay, but it's the same age of the plant here and here. All right, moving on just a little bit. Let me show you, what do I want to show you next? Here's one that I have that's mounted on a piece of driftwood. And there really is, you know, this is just a small piece of driftwood here. It's about, you know, maybe around 14 inches long. And there's not much place for the roots. The roots haven't really taken over all of the driftwood, and the plant's doing okay. 1 flower spike, 2 flowers, but there's a lot of roots on this driftwood. And, you know, again, the plant is doing well, but not nearly as well as some of the other things that we've seen. All right, I've got a couple of plants that I want to show you, and I got to get up to get these things that are on cedar. All right, so these two are on cedar boards. And this one, I mean, both of them are doing pretty well. This one has 2 flower spikes on it right here. This one has, I'm just going to guess, around 8 spikes on it, but the roots are pretty extensive. I drill holes in the back of the board, or through the boards, and the roots go through the holes, and they're on the back of the board, they're on the front of the board. And again, both of these plants are doing pretty well, but when you look at it, they're not, you know, compared to this one, they're not doing as well, but they're still okay. So this is, you know, these plants are doing well. They're on the boards. You know, the thing about board mounting, so I did a pretty recent video on board mounting, and the thing about board mounting is that it does work very well in this area. So you can do board mounting on orchids and it works well. The roots grab on very nicely. The thing is in this area, especially during rainy season, which is actually now, it rains pretty much every afternoon. And what happens when you have plants that are in pots like this, if they get rained on every day, the roots stay too wet and you'll get rot. With board mounting, you don't have to worry about that. It rains every day, the plants are watered every day, and then they dry out. So you don't have to worry about, you don't have those same concerns. So if you have rain every day, a lot of people have an irrigation system that comes on in case it doesn't rain, and then your plants are going to end up doing really well for board mounting. And again, with me, I control my watering a little bit more and fertilizing and everything like that. So for me, the plants do better in pots. But board mounting is great. I have some that I do board mounting on. They're much, for me at least, they're much lower maintenance. You don't have to worry really much at all about rot. You do have some. You can certainly get too much moisture even if they're board mounted, but it's a little more unlikely to happen when you have that. So the board mounted plants are doing okay. And you can put plants on boards like I showed you in one of my last videos when they're young. So this is another Encyclia tampensis, not from the same group. Here, this is actually a Progyny plant that is from this one that I'll get to in a second. But, you know, just a tiny plant on a board, on a little tiny board right now, and it seems to be doing pretty well. All right, so board mounting. And the thing is, I have other This is some of the tampensis that I have, and they're all doing well. I try not to keep too many of one type of orchid, but I have a lot of tampensis plants because I just have a lot of seedlings. And I usually, the same time of the year next year, I probably are going to have a different collection, a different assortment of tampensis. I'll still have a few of these plants, but probably not many. So I have these. I have some mounted on trees in various other locations. I have some that I didn't bring here, but I certainly have a lot of tampensis plants, and again, all of these guys. Not everything I have, but in my collection, but all of the plants that I'm sharing with you, I grew from seed. Okay, the last one and the largest one, again from the same batch as all these other ones, is right here. And this is again, this is my largest from this batch. This is my largest Encyclia tampensis. This is in a 5-inch pot. I have no idea what the potting mix is in here, but this plant is just loaded. I counted the number of spikes on this plant, and I counted, I think, and it was hard to tell because sometimes you double count, sometimes you're going to miss things. I counted 47 spikes on this single plant in a 5-inch pot. And this is, it's a 5-inch plastic pot. Again, I don't know what the potting mix is. This is the pseudobulbs, and the plant is growing over the side of the pot, and the roots are just going out. So pretty soon, you're not going to be able to see the pot because it's just going to be a solid mass of roots. But this plant is clearly the largest plant that I have of all of this batch. It was the first to flower in this batch, and it's the most vigorous plant. So even though they're all from the same seed capsule, you are going to get variability, seed to seed variability, and this is the most vigorous plant of this batch. But just loaded. I can't even count the number of flowers. And the other thing about this plant is that even as loaded as it is, and I hope you can see this by me waving it around, as loaded as this is, it's not quite in full bloom yet. So it still has a little while, but it looks like most of the blooms are open on this plant, but it looks like it'll probably be open, everything will be open in a few days. Last year, this thing gave me so many seed capsules. It was just unbelievable how many seed capsules I got from this plant. And the seed capsules that I got from this plant have generated a lot of seed and seedlings, and I've flasked a lot of them, and I actually have, surprising as it sounds, I have some of those with me today that are really surprisingly big. I'm saying that word a lot, but they are huge. But this is a vigorous plant right here. So again, if you start out with vigorous plants, if you start out, with the right genetics, even though the parent of this plant was a native, but this plant for some reason has incredible vigor. But if you start out with that, you're gonna do well. What I wanted to also share with you about this plant, my arm's getting, I'm gonna put it up. My arm's getting, and I also should say that this plant lives right here. So I moved, these other plants don't. This plant does live right here, and this is where it sits, and I sit here and I watch it, and it's just doing really, really well. But it's on this hanger exactly where it goes, and it's just got a little tiny galvanized hanger that's holding it onto this this trellis that supports some of the other orchids that I have. I brought this plant in to an orchid meeting yesterday, and I was proud of it. I was really proud of it because, 5 years ago, this was a seed. I grew this from seed, and as big as this plant was, I grew it from seed. And so, genetics, it did it on its own. It's the most vigorous plant of the lot that I still have. and it's doing really well. So I brought it in, and on the meeting, what happens at the local meetings, and this is a meeting of the Naples Orchid Society, which I'm a member of, and I brought it into this meeting, and you have to fill out the forms and put it in the right place on the table, and this was a medium size flower species. And then there's a little place right below that where I put, because I was so proud of it, I grew this plant from seed. And, you know, it may have been a little too cocky to say that, but I said it. And so I got, and then what happens, I should say, at these meetings is the members go around and they vote on what they consider to be the nicest plant in each category, and then you get awards, and then you have some more people that go around at a different level, and if they like a certain flower or plant, they have these frilly ribbons, so then you can get an additional award from the people that know a little bit more about orchids. In one case, it's just kind of like what the orchid looks like, how it presents, and this I thought presents well, and this is hanging, I should say, but there wasn't any room on the hangers, and other people brought, because it's peak tampensis time, other people brought their tampensis in. So I had to sit this down on the table, and I thought, oh, it's not going to do anything because this is going to be sitting on the table. The other ones are hanging, and it looks nicer. I had some people that came in and said, oh, mine's way bigger, but I couldn't bring it in. And I said, you know, why couldn't you bring it in? He says, well, it's on a tree. Okay, well, sorry. But that's what people do. They come in and they say, mine's better. And then when they see yours, just because they want to show you that theirs is better. But I brought this plant in, put it on the table, and I wrote, I grew this from seed, exclamation point. All right, so what happened to the voting is that by popular vote, I got a first place award this is from the members voting. And I don't know whether my note had any impact on anything, but then I also got the special ribbon that was associated with this plant. And I think this might be a Braggadocious ribbon either for cockiness or bragging about your orchid or something like that. But these are still fun to get, and I just, I'm happy to have this. And, nice ribbon. But anyway, I got this Braggadocious ribbon. I'm just making that up. I don't know what these call it. What it says on this is that this is a special award. I don't remember what the category was, and I think it might have just been having fun, and they might have made up a category, kind of like what I'm doing now with the Braggadocious category. But okay, moving on. So I'm just happy. It was fun. All these meetings are fun. So I was pleased to get 2 awards for my Encyclia tampensis. It is a great plant, and it presents itself really, really well. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you is Progyny from this plant, and those are right here. And I'm not sure if this is Progyny from last year or the previous year. But I do know these are Progyny plants from this plant right here. I keep track of when I flask the plants, but I've got so many lots, so many seed capsules of Encyclia tampensis that I have flasked that I'm not really sure if this was from this most recent year. My feeling was probably from the previous year because these plants are too big. So I have a lot of these plants now. I have, and these are pretty nice. These are really nice seedlings. These are going to do well somewhere. Right now, they're in, I deflasked directly into these 2-inch pots. These plants are doing well. It's got a lot of new pseudobulbs, a lot of new bulbs, leaves growing out of these plants. And I think they're going to do really, really well. Okay, so that's the last thing I wanted to share with you. Progyny plants from, I think, this Encyclia tampensis right here. I'm going to make more Progyny. There's going to probably be some spontaneous capsules that are formed. But in addition to that, I'm going to cross some of these guys. Probably use this as the parent just because it is such a nice, vigorous plant. All right, so the future of this guy, he's going to keep on going. What am I going to do with that plant? Somebody asked me last night, what am I going to do with the plant? Because the roots are just, they're covering the pot. I don't know. I thought I might divide it, but usually with a plant like this, a specimen plant like this, you don't divide it. You just drop it down into another pot. I don't think, you can't pull it out of this plastic pot. With some of the orchids that I've seen, you just take the whole thing and just put it in a larger pot, which I don't like to do, but it might be what'll happen with this one. I don't like growing things in huge pots, so I'm not sure how much bigger I'm gonna let this go, but it seems to be doing really well just in this little tiny 5-inch plastic pot that it's currently growing in. Over time, again, it's gonna need some new space to grow into. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. I've got future videos coming up that where it's so warm here. These orchids are just going crazy. We've got lots of blooms. I saw a bloom spike coming out on a plant today that I swear wasn't there 2 days ago. So lots of stuff coming. It's so much fun to be here in Southwest Florida this time of year. The orchids are loving it. I'm loving it, and I hope you're enjoying things too. All right, that's all I have for you today. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.